Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. To quote the Big C and them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys from Africa, we love the Big C tribe. We love you in Canada. But Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful March the 9th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, we're living the southern way, and I'm not talking about Southern California. I'm talking about the real South, the dirty South. You know, we enjoy life. We live for the weekend.
Yeah.
It's all over right now for the next 72 hours.
That reminds me of some good old boys back south. And back in the day, they had a song called Living for the Love for the City, something like that, Big C. I think they sing it better than I did, but it's a part of the New Jack City.
One of these things, Charlton, is that we're going to have to do, ass casting here. That's not the radio industry where, you use somebody's song. We don't have to worry about it. Because that's what you singing. Ain't nobody going to play it.
Well, I'll say, oh, Canada. They love it and all, Big C. Black Panther, about to become a billion-dollar movie. That makes it the #1 movie in the universe. And Black Panther is an amazing story. Tiger Woods, think about the Phoenix and this black diaspora coming out of Black History Month. There were many people in mainstream. They were saying there's no way Tiger would win. No way he could come on back. Now them good old boys are trying to buy tickets for the Valspar tournament down in Florida. The NCAA tournament, Big C, that starts getting decided more this weekend as teams start jockeying to see who's going to win their conference championships. The NFL is deciding to move some players around and letting people know, hey, you're only as good as your last play, because they can trade you, don't matter how good you are. Big C, your thoughts on what you're looking forward to in the universe?
Well, Charlton, I mean, this is a wonderful weekend when you look at it all the way around. We got March Madness starting. We got Selection Sunday, where we're going to, pick the final 69 of the teams. We got about a couple dozen in already due to their conference tournaments and automatic bids.
Yeah.
But, Selection Sunday, where you have the male body, you got all the kids sitting around together, watching the screen to see where they're going to be selected and, where they're going to be seated, which, section of the country they're going to be traveling to go play in an almost empty arena.
I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C said you can drive a car or you can drive a Cadillac. I love so much in the world of Hollywood, and I love the black diaspora. And when I look at how America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, it was anathema to black Americans coming across in the Middle Passage. There was so much pressure put against black Americans. And as the phoenix rises, a whole diaspora of people continue to rise. And I'm so proud that we talk about this International Women's Day, and we paid such homage to black American women, Big C. And I just want the whole world just has to be reminded that during all this journey, in all the journey to end apartheid in South Africa and Jim Crow in the United States of America, it has always been to oppress black Americans or Africans, and it hasn't always been that way. So I just want to say, for movies like the Black Panther that has such a strong message, it's almost as if when you think about a baby needing milk, I think for people to see a role where it shows you as a king, and not just the king of your country, but king of the universe. It doesn't lessen other people because we're all from the same tribe. Big C, talk about some of the influence as a person of color. We sometimes take for granted that we've always been free. Hasn't always been the case. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, to have the opportunity to be in the mainstream, every time African Americans have had the opportunity to assimilate into the mainstream, they've achieved.
Yep.
They've reached heights. I mean, we go back to a movie that was released last year called Hidden Figures. The race to the moon.
Yeah.
To outer space.
Yep.
When for decades, no one realized the reason why the Mercury was able to circle the Earth was because of 3 black women.
Yeah.
And even a group behind them, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because they were the main engineers doing the mathematics for this rocket launch
Yeah.
and being able to get it back into Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, it was hidden until, you know, the internet came along.
Yep.
And once the internet came along, you could no longer just omit things from books because everything was available for people to see.
Yeah.
But you think about how many blacks lost opportunities because mainstream America wouldn't be forthcoming with the proper opportunities or acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You know, what they did was just like in sports. You know, everyone looks at Jackie Robinson, you know, crossing the color barrier in baseball.
Yeah.
And how that also led to the decline of the Negro League. It wasn't just for crossing the color barrier, it was for economic gain for white society. You had to eliminate a competitor that you saw that would not go away.
Yeah.
So the only way you did it would be able to take their young talent and say that we're integrating.
Yep.
It was a good thing, but it was a bad thing also at the same time because so many people lost jobs behind that move, Charlton.
Yeah.
And even when you look at the NFL, early days of that league, how, you know, African Americans were not allowed to participate. Fritz Pollard was the first African American in 48 to be able to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
But, you know, you only let 1 or 2 at a time into the league because the dynamic that they brought into the game, Charlton, was unparalleled. You didn't have competitive athletes that could eliminate this guy. Not only did he have to play and prove himself constantly, but he always had to fight racism from the opponent and within his own team, Charlton, because people looked, well, a white guy should have this job that you have.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't always treated fairly.
Yeah.
And so we see this when we cross over to the movie genre. You know, we look how long it took for assimilation of blacks into the mainstream of Hollywood.
Yeah.
To be able to be nominated on a consistent basis for Oscars and Emmys, you know, in television. But once given that opportunity, we've seen, as far as a society in America, the succession.
Yep.
And, you know, because of given the opportunity, you can't say it's based on color.
No.
You know, it's just like when they'll say certain athletes, we looked at Lamar Jackson at the combine, and there was so much talk of, well, people want him to try out as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was better than the average white quarterback that was in the top 5 as far as the draft.
Yeah.
And if he goes in and blows all these guys away, you know, in the NFL, then all of these things that the NFL has talked about for decades.
Yeah.
That African-American players are not cerebral enough to dominate the game. We've seen them win Super Bowls. We've seen them in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And so all we look for is opportunity. The Black Panther is a perfect proof of that, Charlton, on the movie you know, landscape right now.
Yeah.
Potentially will be the all-time box office financial hit.
It will.
You know, if it keeps running at the pace that it's done. And you know, people are going to have to find a reason why to knock the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it won't get nominated for an Oscar next year because they'll say, well, it was no great acting. You know, even though, you know, everybody loves the movie.
Yeah.
The storyline is great.
Yeah.
But they'll say it wasn't a true movie. It was fiction. So they'll find a reason to skate around the Oscars with it next year.
Well, I look at people like, and I just love the work of Michael B. Jordan and what he's done as an actor, Big C. And I mention that because when I tie in the success of people all over this planet, and we all have more in common than uncommon, but we all know that life began on the African continent, according to science. Dr. Leakey and Gregor Mendel, they opine, and they knew that. They don't teach that in the schools, so you got to Google that stuff for yourself, especially young black kids and white kids too. If you know where we all come from, maybe you would expect the root a little bit better, Big C. And I just want people to understand, through colonialism and imperialism, people have been stripped from their culture, they've been stripped from their resources, they've even been stripped from their thinking. And I think that's so powerful as we come up on the March Madness. You're going to see a similar thing that's happened during the colonialism and imperialism. It's going to be black labor that generates $1 billion in money. Okay? It doesn't go into the black bank accounts, though, pejoratively speaking. And people know that. It's been designed that way. And I look at Black Panther, the movie Black Panther, which is going to be the #1 movie in the universe. It hasn't even been out a month. It's opening in China today, and they're expecting $60 million in ticket sales. But I contrast that with Birth of a Nation. And I'm going to tie this into our political structure and what's going on in the sports world. Because there are so many people, Big C, as long as you are used as labor, as long as you were used as unskilled and unpaid labor, then people patted you on the back and told you that they love you. You know, stay in your lane, shut up and dribble. All that garbage. But as a young woman from Colombia told me about 2 days ago, her name is Raquel Rios. She's written for the Olympics, and she interviews Ronda Rousey. She covers boxing all over the world. And she said something to me, which is not an insult to anybody, but she said, you know what? The black race is so powerful, and how that's been a threat to other people, especially some of our European brethren. It hasn't always been that way. That's since about the 14th century. But she said that, and I said, what do you mean by that? I said, all life's from Africa anyway. She said, yeah, but if you look all over the planet, people have always tried to oppress black American, the black voice, the black vote, the black mind, the black consciousness. It never meant that it was ancillary or anathema to any other group of people. But the reality is a lot of our young people, they have to overcome being told a lot of garbage about their psyche, Big C. Talk about the power to have the brilliance and the strength, Big C, to keep fighting through that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, ever since the African-American race landed on this continent, Charlton,
yeah,
they've always had to fight upward. And everybody has tried to oppress them
yeah,
from day one. I mean, that's the nature of that culture, Charlton.
yep,
And it was the white colonials who have always tried to oppress the advancement of colored people in America. Charlton,
yeah.
when you look at it, when they came here and they eliminated the Indians, the Native Americans,
yeah,
you know, oppressed them, put
yeah.
them in places where no one could live. And that's what they did with slaves and oppression.
yeah,
And as far as assimilation into society, Charlton, even after, you know, they were freed for the Civil War,
yeah,
the Emancipation Proclamation,
yep,
they still were slaves
yeah,
because they didn't have option. It wasn't like, okay, now people are going to sell to me. I can go to a store. I can, you know, get a piece of property over here and
yep.
raise my family without being oppressed or people threatening me and, you know, coming after me.
yep,
So, you know, this is the fight mentally that's been there forever.
yeah,
And when you think about it, and, you know, you get society say, well, you know, they always act like, you know, somebody's after them or they don't get their fair share.
right,
If white society ever really sit back and look and see where blacks get their fair share, you know, we look at sports as the mainstay.
Yeah.
Where are the black owners in professional sports, Charlton?
Yeah.
They don't get the opportunity. Now, you tell me that there's not some black billionaires out there somewhere in America,
there are a lot,
you know, in the world.
yeah,
But they don't get an opportunity when something comes up for sale to even be considered.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in this coaching carousel where you have to interview at least one minority.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, we said, hey, we're thinking about you as a head coach. That's the interview.
yeah,
They don't come in with a serious intention as far as allowing this guy to be hired. I mean, we saw that in the coaching carousel this past offseason in the NFL.
yeah,
How many African Americans actually got the chance? I mean, they had white coaches named before their seasons were over.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
this guy's going to be the head coach. He's just the coach in waiting.
yeah,
You know, we saw that on several occasions, starting with Gruden, the guys from New England
Yep.
that went to Patricia that went to Detroit.
yep,
You know, these guys were penciled in.
yeah,
They didn't even have to worry about it. They were just penciled in, so those rules don't apply when they say, well, we have a rule where you have to, you know, give African Americans opportunity.
yeah,
And that's in all professional sports, Charlton. How many African American managers we have in baseball?
yeah,
I know we have a couple African American coaches in the NBA, and you would think that it would be predominant African American coaches in the NBA,
yeah,
being that the league is so predominantly African American as players.
yeah,
But not even there
yeah,
do they get a chance to dominate. And really on the college landscape, Charlton,
yeah,
when we look how many African American players will be playing in the NCAA starting next week,
Yeah.
probably on Tuesday,
Yeah.
once the tournament kicks off.
yeah,
Look at the number of African American coaches are on the sidelines.
yeah,
Now, they can play at the college level.
yeah,
They can play at the NBA level. But given this opportunity to coach, I know Patrick Ewing just got a job last year as the head coach of Georgetown, his alma mater.
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing toiled 15 years on the sideline in the NBA as an assistant coach, overlooked time after time when coaches got jobs.
Yeah.
And he was never considered.
Yeah.
He had to go back to the college ranks because that NBA job just seemed not to be going to open up, Charles.
Yeah.
But yet, we see white coaches get jobs all the time, whether they come from the broadcast booth.
Yep.
You know, whether they come from retirement at home.
Yeah.
But they get jobs. We're guys that are toiling, trying to get them, that are minorities, can't seem to achieve that.
That's very true, Big C. So there's all this talk about, like, Lucasfilm. Will the galaxy ever diversify? You know, what if they announce that someday we're all going to be equal and treated equal? Because the people in the power structure can change that. And I appreciate everyone that's done something like the late Gene Roddenberry when he did Star Trek. He had such a futuristic vision, but it really wasn't futuristic. He just looked around the planet and saw that there are different cultures and different people and different skin shades. He even brought someone from outside of the universe and a Vulcan to be a part of that. And I just want to pay homage to Coogler, who's out of Oakland, out of the Bay Area. And I look at guys like Spike Lee, and I look at people like the Wayans brothers and how they've taken the time to create something with their own pen. And that's why it's important that kids write, so you can dream again. So the Black Panther wasn't just about black people. It's about people. It's about people who can believe in being something greater than yourselves. And I just hope that more people would go see that as opposed to these movies where they don't have that same type of message. So again, I just want to congratulate all the people in the black diaspora. As my friend from Colombia told me, you guys are such a powerful people. And I think that even within that, there are times we have this label of crabs in a barrel. Everybody has something good and bad in all societies. But I just hope that all the people who go see this movie will be inspired to be more true to who they are. This is anathema to Birth of a Nation. There are two opposite sides of the universe. And I'm so proud of the mind and the power that went into making that movie. Big C, in the world of golf, I know that everybody, at least for the most part, loves to watch the game of golf when it's intriguing, when we have something going down to the wire, when you're on the game, you know, on the Sunday and you're going down the back nine and you got someone tied for the lead or someone that's, you know, has a one-shot lead, etc., whatever it is. And then coming down to decide who's going to win. Will you putt your way in? Well, no matter what it is, I just want to pay homage to some of the efforts of athletes who've been knocked off of their perch, Big C. And sometimes it goes back to the same thing that happened with the Birth of a Nation. Sometimes it's a whole society that's behind your failure, even though you've had some medical injuries and issues. And I just want to applaud someone who's opened the doors for a lot of people of color, even tacitly getting into the world of golf, because there's a lot of inside Jim Crow that goes on and not letting people get sponsorships or not even letting them have a membership in a tournament. So I look at the great Tiger Woods, and I look at what media did to tear Tiger Woods down. They made Tiger Woods and his whatever his personal relationships were with his wife and whoever, we don't know what kind of relationship they consented to. I mean, look at the president and the first lady. Did she consent to what he's doing? But no one's tearing her down. No one's even trying to tear down the president, but the lady's trying to sue him because she knows there's some stuff that's going to come out. At the same time, what's the mindset of an athlete that's been high, Big C, you come back down to earth, and you build yourself back up again? Can you explain that's how Tiger Woods is doing it, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we've had so many great athletes over the decades that have been in that position of a Tiger Woods, where society has cast them off as just a nobody any longer.
Yeah.
And really made a mockery of them to a degree in a public spectacle.
Yeah.
But when we look at Tiger, you know, showing the fortitude of a grown man.
Yeah.
Not an athlete, of a grown man.
Yeah.
You know, that say, hey, you know, my world is mine.
Yeah.
And the thing about Tiger is that everybody wants to be in Tiger's world.
Yeah.
You know, Tiger's not asking people to accept him. People are saying, hey, Tiger, you know, we want to be here with you.
Yeah.
You know, we always felt that you'd be back.
Yeah.
You know, everything is better with you. And he knows that. He knows that the world that he lives in that he works in is better when he's around.
Yeah.
When he's relevant.
Yeah.
That no one else is as relevant as he is. I mean, when you look at Valspar,
Yeah.
going into the weekend, Roy McIlroy
Yeah.
and Jason Spieth both missed the cut.
Oh, yeah.
5 over.
Yeah.
Missed the cut by 2. And these are 2 of the top 10 golfers in the world.
Yeah.
But, we had people just 2 months ago saying, well, Tiger won't be back. Tiger won't be competitive. And you and I had talked about that Tiger needed the reps, okay?
Yep.
He needed to find a way to hone his adrenaline. And that's through playing rounds of competitive golf, not going out practicing.
Yeah.
Because there's no emotion when you're sitting out there in the fairway.
Yeah.
But when you know that there's real golfers, Charlton, competing with you, your adrenaline moves. And Tiger seems to have found a way to hone that adrenaline.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that all athletes have to control.
Yeah.
You see a lot of athletes, when an event starts, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, they need to have that first contact.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden things are fine.
Yeah.
And Tiger, we see the more and more reps that he has taken. Society is coming to Tiger. Tiger is not going to society.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are chasing him. They need him.
Yeah.
You think about the sponsors who ran away from Tiger a decade ago.
Yeah.
Did not want anything to do with anything with it.
Yeah.
Now they're all sitting around begging, please, Tiger.
Take me back. Take me back.
Yeah. I made a mistake. I had a little bit too much moonshine. I lost my head.
Yeah.
But I'm here, Tiger. I'm here for you. I always been here for you.
That's
I knew
funny.
things would come back to where they were.
Yeah, that's funny. Money's money. It's all fair in love and war. But I can't tell a guy who's a billionaire what to do. But I hope that he would choose new sponsors, and new sponsors headed by the nouveau riche. And remember, the same people that turned their back on you, I hope he walks away from them too, because it just opens up doors for new people to get the acclaim. They need that, Big C. I look at how I look at the Black Panther, and I look at Tiger Woods and the golf course, and I think I just got to keep saying the Black Panther. There's even some garbage talk in China. They're saying, well, will the Chinese culture embrace, black movie stars? Well, look at what the NBA has done. I mean, look at how the NBA has been embraced by China, and even some of the better athletes will come over here to the United States and play in the NBA, and they don't turn their back against people. If you have what makes people happy and excited, they'll pay attention to it. And I saw some of that same Birth of a Nation, anathema that talked about, well, will they really support a black movie? That's the same garbage they've been saying for years down in Hollywood to ostracize black Americans from even getting a reading for a role, from even having the chance to go out and get a screening, to even go out and compete. I mean, the Olympics teaches us something, Big C. It teaches us that competition will separate the cream from the crop. And when I look at what Kruger's done with the Black Panther, there are a lot of white American actors in that movie. It's not an all-black cast. And so when you look at what black men have done, Spike Lee's done the same thing. When they had a black cast, whether it's Do the Right Thing or He Got Game or some of the other things, Malcolm X, a lot of the movies that Spike has produced, they all had a large contingent of white cast also. Mo Better Blues back in the day, Jungle Fever, all those movies, they've had diversity in it, just like the Black Panther. But they know that Hollywood and the elite guys of Hollywood, now that Weinstein's been called out, he was never called out for all the garbage he was doing to women, but there are people like him that wouldn't let even black actors audition for a movie. Big C, hopefully that will change. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, with the power restructuring in Hollywood, you will see more blacks being released in movies. That those movies a lot of times are put on shelves because of favoritism.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing what Weinstein wanted,
yeah,
he could squash your career and your movie.
Yeah.
That movie it was sent to video or pay-per-view TV.
Yep.
But it never got released in the theaters.
Yeah.
But as things change, the landscapes change, Charlton. And when opportunity presents itself,
you gotta walk through it.
And we see that now with Black Panther. So people are going to be more relevant to go to a black lead movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah.
In the past, they said, well, these movies are satire. And most black movies were satire movies.
They weren't written by black Americans,
you
though.
Played a certain role, and that's all it was.
Yeah.
Everything had to be comedic.
Yeah.
The seriousness just wasn't put out there.
Yeah.
We've had many of African-American actors pass up roles.
Yep.
Because they wanted to be considered a serious actor, as they should be.
Yeah.
And could not play those satire genre movies.
Yeah.
But, many played them because they wanted to earn a living.
Yeah.
But, you have to give everyone that equal opportunity. When you level the playing field, and sports has leveled the playing field more than anything as far as giving athletes opportunity. Yeah. Because what they see as far as an owner is when I want to optimize my money, I have to play minorities. Yeah. And even in baseball, where they utilize so many Latin American players. Yep. Because they can get them at a lesser price. That's the reason for it. Yeah. But they do that because they want to optimize their income. Yeah. And they know by having minorities around, they have a better chance to optimize their income. Yeah, that's a very good point. And so whether it's the Valspar Open, whether it's Tiger Woods, if he wins this tournament in Florida, it's good for all the golf world. And I look at first place right now, Connors is -6. Casey's tied for second, he's -4. Snedeker's -4, Woods is -4. There's a lot of good golfers that didn't make it. And, you understand it's a great game. I appreciate all the people of all colors that could treat our whole society. What if the business world were like the NCAA, where they actually wanted people and trained you to get good? When you get recruited out of high school, we talked about that over the past, Big C, you're not always ready. But they can sow into you. The same way if you're down in Silicon Valley, if you're going into schools for academics, a kid out of high school is not what he's going to be or she's going to be once they graduate college. They're going to pour into you. And I hope that we'll take that opportunity to keep pouring into everybody on International Women's Day. And then we just got through Black History Month. It's never been anathema to the whole society or to the mainstream. It's always been part of forming a more perfect union. So if Tiger does his thing, congratulations. But for all the golfers in the golf universe, I think it's great for everybody. Big C, in the world of the NFL, I know there's always talk about how we're going to make our team better. And who do we need to draft? And what kid out of college is going to take a grown man's job and make him a better player? Up in the great Northwest, Richard Sherman, on waivers, one of the best cornerbacks in the universe. We know he's been a shutdown corner out of Stanford University. Tyrod Taylor gets the Bills to the playoffs in the first time in over a decade, and he's sent from the Bills to the Browns. And then Aqib Talib, one of the best shutdown defensive players in the NFL, he's now in Los Angeles with the LA Rams. I think the Rams have gotten a lot stronger now, Big C, when you have Gurley running the ball and they're showing up their defense. I think they, as long as Philadelphia, those two teams are probably aiming, at least right now, for the NFC Championship game. Big C, your thoughts on the movement in the NFL? Well, you think about the Rams first and foremost, Charlton. It's like, all these draft gurus with these mock drafts telling you who needs what and where they're going to draft and that. They're scratching their heads right now. Their guesswork is stopped for the past couple of weeks. Yeah. Because when you think about the Rams have just picked up 2 first-round draft picks. Yeah. They picked up Peters, cornerback from Kansas City, all-pro. They picked up Talib, quarterback from Denver, all-pro. Yeah. So when you talk about shoring up the defense that was exploited in the playoffs, and so they knew where their weakness was at corner. Yeah. And so they've gone out and got really 2 first-round draft picks, in the past couple of weeks. This reminds me of the moves that New England would do. Oh, yeah. Let's go out and get players that have played in the NFL, that understand the game, the speed, the mentality. And so that's what the Rams are doing right now when they went out and they got these 2 cornerbacks. Yeah. So, they were solid as a team last year. But they're even more solid right now, and they still have moves to make. I mean, they traded a linebacker, Ogletree. Yeah. So, they're going to bring in some other players, or they have somebody in mind to pick up. Yeah. Free agency just started in the NFL. Yeah. We look at Tyrod Taylor, as you talked about. He took a pay cut last year. Yeah. Took the Patriots, the Bills to the playoffs. Yeah. First time in a decade. Gets traded. Now, we look at the Browns, who have 2 of the first 4 picks, in the NFL draft coming up. Yeah. You talk about a team that just got strong all of a sudden. Yeah. They pick up Tyrod Taylor, starting quarterback. They trade Deshaun Kaiser to the Packers. Yeah. They get a receiver in return, Adams, from the Packers for that.
Yeah.
They also pick up Jarvis Landry, an all-pro wide receiver from the Packers. Now, Jarvis Landry, since being drafted, he's the same year Odell Beckham,
Yep.
has more receptions than any receiver in the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you look at what the Browns have done all of a sudden. You know, all these experts say, well, they're going to take this quarterback first.
Yeah.
They take the quarterback first. Who knows?
Yeah.
But they have a quarterback that went to the playoffs last year now.
Yeah.
They have two receivers that are in the elite part of the NFL. They're top 10 receivers
Yeah.
in the NFL. So you think about how healthy the offense just got.
Yeah.
Now they need a solid running back, and they need another offensive lineman. I see those being their first two picks if it's smart.
Yeah.
Pick a running back, pick an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You know, if Joe Thomas can come back off of that pectoral injury he had last year, Charlton,
Yeah.
you're talking about a solid offense now with the Browns. They were very competitive.
Yeah.
Now Hugh Jackson has some tools to work with.
Yep.
So when we look at how the NFL is structuring, and people find the players of value, we consistently see these African-American players, Charlton,
Yeah.
as teams cherish as players of value.
Yeah.
They're making moves to get them on their roster to enhance them.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of good things happen in the world of NFL. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We go through Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Big C, also, I know when we look at some of the marquee teams in the NFL, no matter what anyone does, when we look at everything from the last probably 30 years in the NFL is better. Just like Hollywood's better when it's diverse and when it has men and women in leading roles and not just an average white guy that's been passed along to make him the leading actor in 12 out of 10 movies or 10 out of 12 movies. It's okay if you shuffle the deck. It's okay because who doesn't want $1 billion? Okay, if you're a movie studio and you are that director and you know that Jim Crow has always existed, and if Jim Crow exists in Hollywood, it still does, even though it's legalized Jim Crow. And we know that good old boy and cronyism and nepotism works. But I want to ask you directors and you producers and you studios and you banks that want to back a movie, who doesn't want $1 billion? I mean, the money's green no matter what color the actors are. Big C, I look at the NFL, it's always a better sport when the Cowboys are good in the NFC. It's always a better sport when the Washington Redskins are good. They're the nation's capital. It's a good sport when the Giants are good. Okay, it's a good sport when now they're back in LA, when the LA Rams are good. It's good when the San Francisco 49ers are good. We know that. When Minnesota's good. When New Orleans is good. In the AFC. When New England is good, the NFL is better. When the Raiders are good, the NFL is better. And of course, when Pittsburgh is good, it's better. When Miami's good, it's better. When the Denver Broncos are good, it's better, Big C. What team, in your opinion, do you see in the best position to keep that legacy going of dominance and at least getting back to the championship games? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you never count New England out, Charlton, just because of the structure of that organization and the mindset that they have. They don't take a back seat, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, there's teams that always pop up every year. I think the Dallas Cowboys, if Jerry Jones just sits back and let the team play
football,
will be very competitive.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be there. But the Philadelphia Eagles are not going anywhere anytime soon.
No.
This is an organization that is learning how to win. And once you learn how to win, Charlton,
yeah,
it's hard to fall off of that block.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, they went and ascended the mountaintop last year in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you have players that are excited, and they've already started stocking up.
Yeah.
To keep that team solid, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the AFC, I mean, Kansas City, you know, will they ever find a way to get over the hump? You know,
yeah.
It seems like they're the best first-round team in playoff history.
Yeah.
They get there every year.
Yeah.
That's as far as they get.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That's as far as they get. You know, we saw a resurgence with Minnesota last year. This is a team that had a tremendous defensive run.
Yeah.
You know, what are they going to do at quarterback? You know, are they going to stay pat? Or are they going to go out and waste the money on the guy who's never made the playoffs?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That's the biggest concern that Minnesota has right now. And Who knows what decision will be made? Seattle is in a rebuilding mode.
Yep.
They're dumping defensive players left and right. I mean, it's like, where's the unemployment line? Seattle.
Yeah, some guys.
That's what's occurring.
Some guys might be working at the fish
NFL
market. Yeah.
will always find a way to be solid.
Yeah.
This is the only league that you can go from worst to first in a year.
Yeah.
And it happens every year. There's a surprise team in the NFL every year in each division.
Yeah.
Because of free agency allows you to get healthy in a hurry.
Yeah.
And when teams say we're building through the draft, that means we don't want to win right now.
Yeah, that's a part of
those
it.
young guys don't know what it takes to win at that level.
Yeah.
They might have been good college players, Charlton, but those are college players playing against kids.
Yeah.
In the grown man world, you got to produce right now.
You got to produce right now. And speaking of that, I look at Minnesota. They got about $47 million to play with. And Coach Zimmer's done a lot to have Minnesota kind of like the Chiefs. They are good enough to get into the playoffs, but just haven't cracked that nut yet, Big C. And they got a decision to make at quarterback. They have Case Keenum, of course, took them to the NFC championship game, but they think he's just a vagabond quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater, they put a lot of money and hope into Teddy Bridgewater, and then he had the injury, and then, people can come back stronger. It just depends on how that heals. They dealt with Sam Bradford. They have a defense that's solid. But if you're the head of that organization right now, if you're Mike Zimmer, you can't keep playing around with who's going to be your quarterback. They have to be on pace now, Big C. You can't go into the month of April and not knowing and having your whole team know who their main guy is, Big C. That make any sense?
Well, the thing I look at Minnesota, the way it's been structured salary-wise with the players, to bring in one player, Charlton, and offset the dynamics of the salary cap. Players who have been there and built that organization, that have sacrificed, that have taken contract restructures, even in the quarterback realm. You can keep one of those young guys because you got two quarterbacks that have taken you to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
How many teams have that? When you look at everybody's talking about your cousin out there, he hasn't taken anybody to the playoffs.
No.
If you have two quarterbacks that are on your roster currently that have taken you to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, that's a pretty good resume to have.
Yeah.
And if I'm the head coach and I'm coaching both of those players, I got to put my trust in both of those.
Yeah. I
got to keep both of those guys, let them compete, and the best one of those two that's not going to break the bank for you is your quarterback.
Yeah. I think about that. And when we talk about defense winning championships, and Philadelphia had a good defense last year, and I look to the West, among all the teams that are out there, I look at the Rams and how I still like Todd Gurley because he's like Eric Dickerson. You could give him the ball. Like Franco Harris, you could give him the ball. He's very sturdy, like a big and faster version of Emmitt Smith. He can run the ball. A lot like even Marcus Allen back in the day when he played with the Raiders and even at Kansas City. But I look at them on defense, adding Aqib Talib, and he likes gold chains, Big C. So there's a lot of gold shops down in L.A. that you may not be able to find in Denver. They're growing a different kind of green thing that they sell in Denver, but he got out of Denver now, and maybe he'll find the gold in L.A. in those beautiful uniforms with the horns on the helmet. But I got to get your thoughts because they do have one of the better defensive tackles. I know you're a defensive guy, and Aaron Donald is a stud. They got to build that defense. There's some people saying they may have to deal him because it's a massive extension to keep him around. But you can't get to the Super Bowl unless you have a strong defense, Big C. How does Aqib Talib match up with what they're trying to do defensively because their offense is already good, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, that's what you do. You go out, Charlton, you make some trades for veteran cornerbacks. You do some contract restructuring because these guys are in the latter part of his career to leave. I mean, he's been around a long time. He has Super Bowl experience, so he knows how to win. He's won a Super Bowl in New England. Yeah. He's won a Super Bowl in Denver. So this is the type of leader that you want to bring to this young defense that you have with the Rams. Yeah. Darnold, this is a guy you want to keep around. I mean, you saw what Peters did last year, in Philadelphia, when they had that push up the middle. Yeah. The defensive line is key. And if you get these two solid cornerbacks with Peters and Talib, and you got this fierce pass rush that the Rams have always had. Yeah. You know what Wade Phillips can do defensively. Yeah. He had to leave in Denver. Yep. So he wanted to bring this type of mentality to the Rams. This maverick, this guy that plays at all costs. he doesn't play with a conscience.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
He's all work and all business and all intimidation.
Yeah.
When he's out on the field. So if he can bring that to the rest of the young Rams defense.
Yep.
And you got Peters, who's a shutdown corner on the other side.
Yeah.
This is a team that the Eagles will have to be concerned with come playoffs.
Now let me get your thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons with the most beautiful stadium in the universe. I look at Matt Ryan. He's entering his last year of his deal, and he's been paid handsomely. He was able to help them get to the Super Bowl one time and forgot how to hand the ball off in the second half, and that's why they didn't get a Super Bowl championship over the New England Patriots. But I look at Dan Quinn. He has that Super Bowl pedigree, being on the staff of Pete Carroll up in Seattle, and then being the leader of the helm down there in Atlanta. But I know Ryan's getting a lot of money. Anytime you pay a quarterback over $100 million, you expect a Super Bowl, not just a guy who's going to get you to the playoffs. But I got to get your thoughts on, this is the last year of his deal. Do they keep him, or do they look, to this college rankings, and do they believe what the writing is on the wall about some guy in college is going to replace the NFL All-Pro player? Do they cut ties with Ryan after this year and start to rebuild, because they still have a chance to stay strong down there in the NFC South? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you can bet the house that Ryan will be one of the top 3 paid quarterbacks in the NFL before this season is over. They're going to sign him to a contract extension because the franchise believes in him.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have that big game mantra.
Yeah.
That you look for in a quarterback. Yes, they made it to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but the Packers were beat up when they got to the NFC playoffs. But, this year they couldn't even score a touchdown against the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a division playoff game.
Yeah.
So this is a team that has lacked the offensive firepower.
Yeah.
That you need come the playoffs. I mean, you have Julio Jones and you have a quarterback that, for some reason doesn't want to throw him the football.
Yeah.
Muhammad Sanu, another tremendous receiver.
Yep.
You have a tandem of running backs that have been very successful.
Yeah.
But until Matt Ryan decides that he wants to share the wealth at quarterback and be that guy to let somebody else be the MVP on the team,
yeah,
he has his status, he has his money.
Yeah.
But he has to learn how to defer. They're going to give him the money, but he has to learn how to defer.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn is a defensive coach, built the defense based on speed.
Yeah.
But that defense also got worn down in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
When people got physical with him.
Your thoughts on you think about who's going to challenge, because I really like what the Eagles have done, and I like what the Rams have done. And there's a lot of things that are still going to be played out with Carolina and Atlanta and New Orleans. But I want to ask you about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Tomlin's been one of I think he's the third winningest after his coach behind Belichick and Reed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We know Big Ben at one time thought about retiring last year. Maybe he was just having a lacrimose speech. And we know they got a chance to host a playoff game at home, and they were knocked off by the Jacksonville Jaguars, which no one expected that to happen, Big C. Too many turnovers by Big Ben. He has to redeem himself, obviously. Le'Veon Bell, those issues. Give me your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and are they still a relevant team in the AFC? I think they are. Of course, New England's going to be strong, but your thoughts on the Steelers staying a relevant team, Big C?
Steelers will always be a relevant team, Charlton. It's just the way that organization is built.
Yeah.
They bring in players that buy into their plan.
Yeah.
To what they're doing. They don't go out and look for renegades that, they don't chase down the free agency market.
Yeah.
They draft from within, and this is the one team that has always been built by the draft. You go back to Chuck Noll's days.
Yeah.
Where they started building that organization through the draft, and they found success. Well, when you look at their receiving core, I mean, they're so stacked at receiver. When somebody goes down,
yeah.
he does not get back in the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Big Ben has had a luxury ever since he's been in the NFL.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell has gained more yards from scrimmage than any player in the NFL over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He's the first running back to be franchised 2 consecutive years.
Yeah.
But, this also is part of the racial overtone of the NFL.
Yeah.
The devaluing of black running backs.
Yeah.
Even though you need them to make your team solid.
Yeah.
When you look at all the teams that are competitive in the NFL,
yeah,
that are in the playoffs, they all have these black running backs, Charlton, that are dominant players.
Yeah.
The Eagles, used 3 different running backs on their roster as well as the Patriots did.
Yeah.
Because they each had a certain skill set.
Yeah.
But, you know, everyone is saying, well, they be valued. It's like all your buddies like Mel Kiper talk about why waste a first-round draft pick on them?
Yeah.
You can get that black guy cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well say that.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what they're saying. Those black guys not worth that kind of money.
Well,
get them in a lower round.
Yeah.
Wear them out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Get a whole stable of them. Where
Yeah.
this white quarterback who, you know, is only completing 55% of his passes in college
Yep.
is the best player in the NFL draft.
Yeah,
He's the franchise running.
Yeah.
Even though he can't even win the conference that he's in.
His own conference.
It's not even a power conference.
And we've seen that.
You know?
Yeah, we've seen that.
But he can win in the NFL, they're saying.
Yeah, and we've seen that for so many years. And just like the movie Black Panther, there were so many people that would not have written that story. And if it wasn't for Cougar doing his own producing of that story and directing it, then it wouldn't be what it is today. It would have been told by somebody else. And so that's why, as athletes, of course, you want to compete. You just want the opportunity. I mean, even if you go back to Joe Montana leaving the 49ers, you know, he wanted to stay there, but they decided to move on. And they didn't let him compete with Steve Young. So he went to Kansas City and then got Kansas City into the AFC Championship game. But that's part of life. You always want to compete. Big C, I want to touch on something before we touch on, you know, this billion-dollar industry that's called, you know, March Madness. The selection happening coming up, you know, over the weekend. And you have right now in the men's, the schools that have already earned an automatic bid, Bucknell out of the Patriot League, College of Charleston, I really like that name, College of Charleston, and then out of the Atlantic Athletic Conference, Gonzaga out of the West Coast. Over 20 years, Freeze has been doing his thing up in the great Northwest, and oftentimes they're one of the top teams on the West Coast. You have Lipscomb out of Atlantic Sun, and then LIU Brooklyn out of the Northeast. Loyola, Chicago, Missouri Valley Conference champion. You have Murray State, the Ohio Valley Conference champion. Michigan, the Big Ten. North Carolina, Greensboro out of the Southern Conference. Radford out of the Big South. South Dakota State out of the Summit Conference. And Wright State out of the Horizon. Big C, this Michigan team, last year they had an airplane that ran off the runway, and they had to play the first round tournament in some practice uniforms. This team came back, and they got the chance to win a Big Ten championship. But a lot of people like Michigan State and Purdue. I just want to get your thoughts. Is Michigan back in the era of the Fab Five, where they can be counted on to carry that conference out of the Midwest? Big C, your thoughts?
We're talking the Fab Five was a once-in-a-lifetime journey for the University of Michigan. So when you think about the competitive nature of the landscape of the Big Ten now, they got 23 teams.
Yeah, 23,000 teams, you see.
Okay. but, you know, to come back and be a power broker again in that conference. And where Michigan State has dominated for a long time. Purdue rose up last year.
Yeah.
Wisconsin has been consistently powerful. Ohio State has had its up and down times. But Michigan to be back on the landscape and considered to be one of the power teams in the conference now, Charlton, and will make the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, when you look at the Big Ten, they'll put at least 8 teams in the March Madness.
Yeah.
So this is a conference that will have a serious run and a chance to win the title.
Yeah, they're very strong, Big C. And the women, we look at Baylor, the Big 12 champion, Belmont, Ohio Valley Conference champion, DePaul out of the Big East, George Washington out of the Atlantic 10, Gonzaga again out of the West Coast Conference, Green Bay out of the Horizon Conference, Louisville out of the ACC, Mercer out of Southern, Ohio State, the Big 10 women's, Oregon, the Pac-12 women's champions, Quinnipiac out of the Metro Atlantic Conference, and then South Carolina out of the Southeastern Conference, South Dakota State out of the Summit, and UConn out of the American Conference. The women, they do really great, play great basketball under Coach Gino Auriemma. Big C on the West Coast, Arizona really is the prodigal team out of the West Coast, outside of Gonzaga, which is in a lesser conference. The Pac-12 is the marquee conference, but you have Arizona, and then whether they get in or not, UCLA, Southern Cal, Arizona State, and Arizona has a lot of, I guess, negative press behind it, but sometimes that can galvanize a team when their coach is caught on tape about $100,000. I think they should still play athletes, but will that be like a lot of the teams that have always fought adversity, Michigan back in the day? Do you see Arizona as a team that could land a number 1 seed out of the West Coast Pac-12 Conference? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, there'll be a 1 or 2 seed, Charlton, but when you look at it, how deep will they go? You know, will this all this off-the-court banter bother the players on the team.
DeAndre Ayton,
distraction. You know the media is not going to let it go.
Yeah.
And the thing that bothers you the most is that they chase down the kids.
Yeah.
You know, they put less emphasis on the coach than they do on the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just young men, whatever they get or whatever they were offered.
Yeah.
They didn't make the decision on that, Jonathan. It was presented to them.
Yeah.
You know, so, but they look at them like they're criminals and they're beat up from the media in that perspective.
Yeah.
So, you know, how much of a distraction will that be when it comes to the press conference? You know, these questions are going to be thrown at the players.
Yeah.
And it would be nice for the NCAA to say, hey, to anybody within the media, if you're coming out there and you ask a question that's not pertaining to the game, then you're going to be dismissed from the press conference.
Yeah.
It would be a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
But the NCAA won't do that, Charlton.
Yeah.
They will let them go out there and bash these young men mentally, and who knows which one will take them off their game.
Yeah, that's very true, Big C. We have a lot of things in the NBA on our final segment, Big C. You know, this is NBA basketball is fantastic. It really is one of the better sports in the universe. When you look at how athletic these men can be, and they can get up and down the court. A lot of guys play half court and you get win it. These guys run the floor night in and night out. They'll play in town in one city. They get on the airplane, fly that night on the red eye, or actually they have their own private charter planes. They're in another city and they're playing again that night or the next night after. And so really excited about what's going on in the world of the basketball universe in the NBA. And I think about Golden State and their narrow victory last night. Steph Curry turns an ankle. They had a narrow win over San Antonio, as San Antonio had a chance to tie it down the end. But Kevin Durant, there was a time when he hit, I think, 16 points in a row. And I just think about, people say, well, Curry's out. Do you rush him back? I think not. Don't worry about the record. You're going to be either number 1 or 2 seed against Houston. And Houston has their own challenges going up to Toronto and playing them good boys tonight up in Canada. Ooh, Canada! Your thoughts on the Golden State Warriors? Do they need Curry tonight at Portland, or do they set him and make sure his ankle is ready for the final stretch? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is the same type of position that they were in last year, is that Curry has sprung an ankle late in the season. And so they held him out.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity arises, that's when you play. I mean, you're not concerned about your seeding in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're going to have a first-round bye. You're going to be first or second.
Yeah.
You have enough players on your roster to get you there to that point.
Yeah.
You need Steph Curry in that 16 to 18 game run in the playoffs that you have to go through.
Yeah.
You don't need him right now. You're solidified.
Yeah.
And so it's about getting healthy. And we talked about that a few days ago. It wasn't about the records right now. It was about who was healthy when the playoffs started.
Yeah.
And we see that now that the Warriors have a kink in their armor, what are they going to do about getting healthy and staying healthy the rest of the way?
Yeah. They have to figure that out, Big C. It's more important to be healthy than to have a winning streak. They tried that when they lost in the finals to Cleveland. And then I want to get your thoughts on another team that I think is just, they're so poised right now. They're so poised to do what they've never done before. And the marquee game of the night in the Eastern Conference, in all the eyes of Canada, oh, Canada, our home and native land. Them good old boys up north, Big C, they are hosting Houston. And can they build a wall like Donald Trump wants to do, but this time to keep the Americans out, Big C, as they try to snap that win streak, them good old boys from Houston. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, right now, Houston, Charlton, is playing on a different level than the rest of the NBA. What they're doing, Charlton, is working to hone their game.
Yeah.
They know that they're a good team. But right now, what they're doing is working on the little pieces. And that's what's making them consistent, is that they're working on the little things. There's not one player that's designated to go out any night and be the superstar. We know who James Harden is.
Yeah.
But the rest of the roster arrives every night.
Yeah.
When you got 2 guys in your backcourt having a double-double every time they play, that's hard to beat.
Yeah.
You got a front court of players, Charlton, that are not on the superstar list, but they're players who produce every night.
Yeah.
And that's where Houston has the difference. You know, when the main focus goes on their backcourt, the rest of the players just go out and relax and have fun.
Yeah. Well, I really look forward to seeing DeRozan and Paul and them good old boys going against each other. and the coaching. What would be the strategy tonight? I know it's a madhouse in Toronto. Toronto is one of the most beautiful cities, of course, up in Canada, but that's a game where it's going to be such an NBA atmosphere, and whether Toronto or Houston represent each other in their conferences in the championship, I think you'll see basketball played at its best tonight. Also, some other games around the NBA. Indiana is an 8-point favorite at home versus Atlanta. Detroit's favored by 8 over Chicago. Houston on the road is a 1.5-point favorite over the Raptors up in Toronto. And then Milwaukee's favored by 10 over New York. Utah chasing the spot in the Western Conference playoffs. They're a 9-point favorite, and they're looking at beating up on Memphis down in Memphis. New Orleans a 1-point favorite with Washington. That's a tough game because we got to know if Davis is going to be healthy. And Washington, we know they're poised in the East. Denver is 6.5-point favorite over the Lakers up in Mile High territory. And Sacramento and Orlando it's a pick'em game. Let me get your thoughts on the Clippers and Cleveland, Big C. If we look at both of those teams, Cleveland 38-26, they're top of the Central Division. And then you have the Clippers, they're 15.5 games out in the Pacific Division. All of this talk about where will LeBron James go. I think there's more and more he won't be in Cleveland at the start of next year. And no matter where he goes, LA's still a place where people love to see in the next 3 or 4 years. He's still one of the basketball players in the universe when you think about LeBron James. Just give me your thought on him going into LA. Will that be any of a distraction whatsoever? All the side chatter and the Hollywood showing up and the movie stars, etc. Big C, your thoughts, Cleveland and LA?
You know, what hasn't LeBron heard in his entire pro career, Charles?
Yeah.
Everywhere he goes, you know, he's the media darling.
Yeah.
Everybody has every question and you know, that they throw at him.
Yeah.
Every scenario is thrown at LeBron. LeBron is not daunted by what the media says.
Yeah.
LeBron makes the decisions based on what LeBron wants to do.
Yeah.
You know, everyone right now is dictating where LeBron is going to go.
Yeah.
Whether it's Philadelphia, whether it's the Lakers, whether it's the Clippers.
Yeah.
Is he going to stay in Cleveland? LeBron is going to do what's best for LeBron in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won championships. He's not going to be the all-time leader in championships when he retires from the NBA. He's very well aware of that.
Yeah.
So his legacy is not going to be based on how many championships he's won. He's established his legacy as being one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, you know, a media circus wherever he goes.
Yeah.
The question will always be there. You know, when they talk about max contract, LeBron's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So what's max contract to LeBron?
Yeah.
You know, he has his own brand of everything.
Yeah.
He's a businessman.
Yeah.
So a max contract in the NBA is not what's going to get LeBron over the top. When he went to Miami years ago, he took less to go there because he wanted to formulate a championship team.
Yeah.
And so wherever he goes, if he leaves Cleveland, it's going to be a ready-made team. Not something that he has to build. LeBron is not looking for a work in progress that may get there. LeBron is looking for something that's set that can compete right now. That's where he's looking to go. And if he goes to the West, Falcon, how many teams does he have to catapult to be competitive?
That's a very good point.
There's 4 teams in the West right now that he would have to catapult to be competitive. So what is the incentive to go West? Hollywood is not an incentive. It's LeBron can do whatever he wants to do wherever he is. You know, this thing called private jets, where he can be anywhere in 4 hours, you know, from Cleveland. So it's no big deal. Ask your friend Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he went home and made pit stops in between.
In Bakersfield,
So when people say that LeBron's going to the Lakers, what do the Lakers have to offer LeBron? I know Kobe said, you know, they recruit players to be champions, you know, and if you have to have an incentive to come to the Lakers are years away from being a championship competitive team, Charles. And they already just brought out Isaiah Thomas. He and LeBron didn't work in Cleveland, so what, LeBron? Isaiah got to move again?
That's funny, Big C. A lot of stuff happening in the world of the sports universe. The movie Black Panther will be over $1 million by the end of this weekend as the #1 movie in the universe. Love the movie Black Panther. Also, we have Selection Sunday coming up where you'll see more free labor lining up to make money for institutions that still say, well, it's too soon to try to pay the athletes. because all that money is going to white bank accounts. I say put that money in a trust and don't pay nobody until we figure out how we're going to do it fair, Big C. That would make everybody come to the table. Also, in the world of golf, it swings down south. The good old boys in Florida at the Valspar Open and the championship with Tiger Woods. Will Tiger Woods win on Sunday? That would be great for the golf universe. And Big C, you know we have a lot of things going on in the NBA. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
We're talking, we're going to put the moonshine on ice. We're going to get ready for Sunday.
Yeah.
We got March Madness Selection Committee coming down on Sunday. We also got the final round of Valspar.
Yeah.
Will Tiger still be competitive? This is the first time he's been in the top 10 of a tournament going into the weekend since 2015.
Well,
the golf world is excited.
Well, they're excited. We're excited. International Women's Week, Women's Day, all over the universe, Big C. So many people are enjoying this great weekend coming up, and you can also enjoy it too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. When you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage all on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope you have a super, fantastic day.